Away with head coach Joe Schmidt announcing team for the weekend.
The team to play against New Zealand this Saturday is Ken Healy, Rory Best captain, Tyke Furlong, Devon Toner, James Ryan, Peter O'Mahony, Dan Levy, CJ Stander, Kieran Marmion, Jonathan Sexton, Jacob Stockdale, Bundy Arkey, Garry Ringrose, Keith Earls and Rob Carney. And on the bench as the replacements are Sean Cronin, Jack McGrath, Andrew Porter, Ian Henderson, Josh van der Fleer, Luke McGrath, Joey Carberry and Jordan Lama.
Joe, given the injuries, was that as straightforward a team as you could have named for this weekend?
No. There's some tough decisions in there. There's some very good players we feel we've left out. There's some players who've played well in the first two games and unfortunately don't get an opportunity, but you can only name the 23 players. So, yeah, we felt that right from that first game, Rhys Ruddock led from the front. There was good performances from the likes of Jack Conan, the likes of Will Addison stepping in at the last minute last week. So, yeah, it's not as uncomplicated as it may sound, but you know, it is what it is, and those players have prepared themselves through the week, as have the others. And when we did name the team for today's training, I think everyone felt that they were in with a chance, and so there's some disappointed players, but they will be 100% behind the team that was selected.
Joe, when did you get to name the team? Did the players only informed today?
Yeah, you know, we had a few guys who need to get through a couple of trainings. You know, it's never ideal, but even at the end of training, we were still making some decisions for Saturday. So there were a couple of decisions that were made post training just to make sure that guys got through fully, and the medics were satisfied that they were fully fit.
And who gave you the
Yeah, we expect Dan to train fully tomorrow. So, you know, I think with Dan, he's only really recently back playing after injury, so we're just trying to manage him. He trained Monday, Tuesday, trained very well Tuesday, so we're just to train Thursday and Friday I think would be a little bit too much, so tomorrow's session is a bit lighter, so we're expecting that he will be up, running and ready.
Was there any particular specific injury?
No, not really. Just soreness from the week before, really. Full body soreness. Does that kind of, yeah, it's nothing too specific, but he was stiff and sore. And, you know, as a result, didn't sleep overly well, which is another kind of warning sign for us that if we push him too hard, all we're going to do is fatigue him, not prepare him.
Joe, in comparison to the second test in 2016, the Dublin test, what have you done differently in preparation for this one?
Not too much different. You know, we weren't that far away in that test. 14-9 with 15 minutes to go. That's a one-score game. When Malachi Fekitoa scored the try that gave them the breach, I suppose, that was a little bit too far to cross. Even then, you know, we got quite close to their line. I think Shawnee almost went over. Rob Carney was dragged down 5 metres short. So we weren't too far away. And so, you know, along those lines, we've just got to be prepared for what they're going to bring. I think they've got a top side out, and we know that they'll come after us in some areas because they did last time. You know, they came at us off kickoff. They certainly, based on what they did to England last week, will come after our line out, and they go after most scrums. But that's been an area of strength for us, so we'll keep trying to make sure that stays rock solid for us. And apart from that, when the game's up and running, it's likely to be fairly manic.
In comparison to where you were 2 years ago in that World Cup cycle, do you feel it's a better prepared, a better Ireland side? Obviously, European champions and all that.
Yeah, I mean, World Cup cycle is a completely nebulous term to us. It's one of the more irrelevant terms. People talk externally of the World Cup cycle. We speak about a circadian rhythm day to day. So our cycle is a 24-hour one, a weekly one. We might have, as a coaching staff, an eye for the future, but with the players, they are definitely week-to-week focused. And so I think it's really hard to make comparisons. We've got a few guys injured, obviously. Guys like Sean O'Brien injured last week. Robbie Henshaw pulled out just before kick-off last week. Connor Murray, who is making really good progress. But, at the same time, we focus on what a fantastic opportunity for Kieran Marmion. Dan Levy to step up. Josh van der Fleer in the 2 tests last time in Chicago. He came on early for Geordie Murphy. He came on for CJ Stander in the one here. He played a couple of cracking games. So the guys who step in and replace those players are well equipped, and we're excited about seeing them. And I suppose if you're going to talk about cycles, it does help us to see a broader spectrum of the playing staff that we have, and therefore kind of, I suppose, build for the future.
Joe, looking at the experience in the New Zealand side, can you put it into the context what you think, how big an achievement it would be to beat the world's best team this week here?
Yeah, look, it's always an achievement to beat the All Blacks. That's why we limit ourselves to just once every 115 years, because we don't want to get carried away with things. I think, when they first turned up in 1905, they were incredibly tough to knock over, and I don't think they've changed too much. The depth of their experience, the number of centurions they've got, or guys with 70, 80 caps. It is formidable, and it would be a huge feather in these players' cap if they could topple them on Saturday. But it's not something that you can really prepare for. You can't prepare for a result. You can only really prepare for a performance. So we have to get as many of those elements of the performance right to have any sort of chance. And then if we're a chance, you'd love to see it go down to the wire and for us to get our nose in front.
Joe, is there, after you mentioned the second game in 2016, is there a battle between Ireland and New Zealand considering those dangerous hits that went in that day?
No, I think people can make their own minds up about those. I know the feedback we got was that there were some unnecessary and there were some decisions made by the referee that day that befuddled everybody, and I don't think there's any confusion with that. But at the same time, we've got to get out there and give as good as we get, and that's what's going to make it a fairly spiky sort of contest this weekend, I would think.
Garry, in this last weekend, obviously coming back in for what is the big game of the year, it doesn't get any better.
Yeah, it's brilliant to get an opportunity to play in a game like this. Unlucky, from my own perspective, to miss out last week. But there was probably still a lot of learnings as a group, so I would have been in as part of training and videos and reviews then obviously this week. So to be honest, it's just probably growing on last week is the focus from the players, or from my perspective. There's probably certain areas that we can improve on both sides of the ball, so it's probably not getting too distracted by the kind of challenge at hand of the game. It was about reviewing and seeing how we can get better, and then growing and hopefully be that bit better this week.
Steve Hansen fully expects a number of trips from you, Joe. He said as much in his press conference in the last hour or so. But how much of it is about actually eliminating those errors from last weekend and really taking the game to them? Because they look vulnerable when teams really take the game to them and get a bit of the lead on. Yeah,
I think the conditions made it tough last week to get a bit of a benchmark on how that game rates, but to get a 15-0 lead, I thought England was super early in that game, but the ability of the New Zealand team to get back on top, I remember that 1 minute and 39 seconds that it took them from the tap penalty to the try line when Ryan Crotty goes over. 100 seconds of pretty agonising viewing for us. That's the sort of thing that they've delivered a number of times. You know, I think with 20 minutes left to play in South Africa recently, they're down 30 points to 13. You know, that's an incredible turnaround to get up and win that game. But they have made a habit of doing it, albeit, you know, sometimes it's by very much a whisker. Is it offside or not? Or, you know, is that going to be that narrow a margin? I'd like to think that we could be in the game, but playing the All Blacks is very, very hard to predict exactly how the game's going to go. I don't think there's any team in World Rugby, while they may seem vulnerable at times, there is no team in World Rugby that can score as quickly as the All Blacks. That's one of the things that you have to be conscious of throughout the 80 minutes.
Well, we'll finish up on Nick. But from the other side of the coin, the other camp this week, there's been a bit of talk about, you know, New Zealand faced Brad Shields last week, and they were talking about what it would be like to face Bundy Aki this weekend. Bundy ready for this, and you know, he's not going to be worried about what's going on.
Yeah, look, I think Bundy has probably demonstrated through the last year. He made his debut against South Africa last year in this particular section of the year, and I think he won Personality of the Year. That's the nature of Bundy, his popularity, because everybody knows he's going to give absolutely 100%. You know, it's like asking, you know, was Jerome Kano 100% ready to play for the All Blacks because he was born in a foreign country, or Chris Masoi, or Joe Rokethoko, or any of those guys. So, you know, having coached all those guys, you know, they were very ready to play for the All Blacks. I think Bundy Aki is very ready to play for us in this weekend's fixture.
Okay, folks. So we'll switch into embargo written word in this room.